On-set lingo. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services. Now on to our topic, on-set lingo. For today's video, I've compiled a set of terms that are often heard on TV and film sets. Some you may already know, some might be new to you. Some apply to actors, others are just things you'll hear crew members saying to each other. Either way, once you understand the language of a film set better, you'll feel more comfortable in that environment. So here we go. Sticks. Sticks is just a nickname for a tripod, like this one, which is for like a cell phone, not like the big ones you see on set. C47. A C47 is simply a clothespin. A stinger. A stinger is simply an extension cord. It's a bit of a tangle. Points. If you're on set and you hear a crew member yell points, you better watch out, because it means they're carrying something that has sharp edges to it that might hurt you if you stood in the way. Points. 10-1. This is just a respectful way of saying that someone has to go pee. Flying in. Flying in simply means that something or someone is approaching set and has almost arrived. What's your 20? If you hear someone asking what the 20 is of someone else, it simply means they're looking for their location on the set. Back to one, or show me your one. When you're rehearsing a scene, or when you're filming it, you may hear the director or the DP ask you to show me your one or go back to one. And that is simply the first mark that you have in the scene. Likewise, your number 2 is your second mark in a scene if there's any action or moving around within the scene. So if the DP or director says, show me your 2, they're just asking you to walk to your second mark. Cheating. No one is asking you to compromise your ethics. They're simply asking you to make an adjustment that might feel slightly unnatural, but will look good for camera. For instance, if they want to see Kermit the Frog in the background and I'm covering him up, they might ask me to cheat over to my right just a little bit and open up my shoulder. Might feel a little bit more awkward, but now we can see Kermit the Frog perfectly. Hey, Kermie. The wide shot. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but generally speaking, it's the first shot you do every time you're shooting a scene. Oftentimes in the final edit, it's only used to establish the beginning of the scene, maybe the end of the scene, and also might be used as a cutaway partway through the scene. After the wide shot, they'll move in for coverage. Coverage is simply a catch-all term for all the other camera angles they will use throughout the course of filming that scene. Speaking of coverage, the dirty single or the clean single. When you're shooting 2 actors in a scene who are facing each other and you want to get the close-up of one actor, you will generally place the camera over the shoulder of the other actor. Now, if that other actor whose shoulder you're shooting over is a little bit in the frame, we call that a dirty frame or a dirty single because they are dirtying up one side of the frame. On the other hand, if you don't want to see that actor at all and you're placing the camera between the 2 actors, then it becomes a clean single. Let's Hollywood it. You don't hear this too often, but when you do, it simply means that a crew member is probably going to be holding something in place during the course of the shot because it's going to take too long to fly in a C-stand and set it up properly. Striking. If you hear a crew member yell striking, it usually means a light is about to turn on. So be careful that you're not staring right into it. MOS. This is a term that simply means that the next shot will be recorded without any sound. The origin of MOS has been debated. My favorite explanation is that some Eastern European director yelled out, "Meet out sound," for MOS. But either way, what it means is that there will be no sound recorded on the next take. And speaking of sound, at the end of a scene, generally speaking, the boom operator will ask for tone, or room tone, or world tone. Room tone is when you're indoors and they need to capture 30 seconds of just the sound of the room when no one is talking. World tone would mean an outdoor shot where they just want to capture the natural outdoor sound without anybody talking. The important thing as an actor to remember is that when they are recording tone, that you are absolutely quiet. Wild sound. When you're on set, if a boom operator says, "Hey, I need to catch your wild lines, do you mind recording those?" It just means that they'll pull you off to the side and have you record some of your dialogue that is either intended to be off camera, or maybe it's a single word or a short phrase that they want to capture again a little bit more cleanly because when they shot the scene, maybe your microphone was making too much noise or they weren't able to get the boom mic close enough to you. Either way, it's just capturing some of your dialogue without any video being recorded. A pickup. A pickup shot is simply when you're going to record the next take without doing the full scene. You're going to start partway through. So if you hear the director say, "Okay, let's do a pickup starting on your line, Matt," then that means that that is where you're going to start the scene. The works. Once you fly into base camp and you've found your trailer and you've signed your initial paperwork, at some point the base camp production assistant will come by and say, "Hey, Matthew, we're ready to put you through the works." And that simply means taking you to the hair and makeup trailer and having your hair done and your makeup done before you will be ready to go to set for your rehearsal or for shooting your scene. We're back in. When you are on a lunch break, when it's time for the lunch break to be over, you'll have a PA or an AD yell, "We're back in." And that simply means that we're now back on the clock, going back to work, ready to shoot again. French hours. I can't really do a French accent. But if you are working under French hours, that's a term that simply means you are not going to officially stop for lunch. Instead, you will order lunch and have lunch delivered to you as a working lunch throughout the day. It means you will end up getting meal penalties, but overall, what some productions have found is that by continuing to work through lunch instead of breaking for lunch, they end up becoming more efficient overall throughout the day and saving money in the long run, even though as an actor, you might actually get paid more given all the meal penalties. Martini Shot. Everyone loves the Martini Shot because it's the last shot of the day. And directors, first ADs, cinematographers, everyone on set will be very, very careful to use that term because the last thing you want is for there to be one more shot after the Martini Shot. "Hey, I need you to sign your G." At the end of the day, when you've arrived back at base camp to take off your costume, remove your makeup, and eventually go home, you'll have the base camp PA come over to you and say, "Hey, Matthew, I need you to sign your G." And what that means is it's a Schedule G. It's an official union document that is a time card. It will show the time you arrived on set, the time you reported to hair and makeup, the time that you broke for lunch and came back from lunch when you were back in, and also the time that you were dismissed from set and then dismissed from hair and makeup. It is very important that you double check the numbers on the Schedule G. In fact, we recommend that you always take a picture of your Schedule G. That way you don't necessarily have to scrutinize everything in the moment, but then after you've left, you can double check all the numbers, and if there is a discrepancy, you can bring that up with the producers after the fact. So what did I miss? Clearly, I did not cover all of the terminology that you hear on set. If you know some fun terms that actors might benefit from knowing the answer to, add them to the comments below. As always, if you're enjoying these videos, please hit the subscribe button, and if you want to be notified of new content, then hit that little bell icon as well. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set. I gotta go 10-1.